this introduction video is a little spicy, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for playing it, but it's worth it. This is Donald Trump is on a deportation spree. All of this as he just found a loophole against an activist judge that was appointed by Barack Obama. All of this as Joe Rogan and Ron Paul have some very interesting criticisms of Donald Trump while he is soon set to announce a major surprise move by the federal government on April 2nd, what he is calling Liberation Day. All of this is happening as Deutsche is making new surprise discoveries about what's happening in the inner realms of government that, of course, are shocking, and not as shocking when you start to pay attention to just the high level of criminality all around us. And all of this as the corporate media is now obsessed about Donald Trump potentially running for the presidency a third time. Now, I look at all forms of media throughout the day. I look at the corporate media. I look at the international media. I look at the local kind of independent media and what people are saying on social media. And all day long, this topic has been dominating the headlines. This is from NPR. Quote, presidents can't be elected twice. Trump could try end runs around that, experts say, as Donald Trump is slowly hinting and teasing at the possibility of running for the presidency a third time around, specifically with now him quoting his great, quote, approval numbers. Now, a lot of people have mixed feelings about this personally, but whether he's saying it in real life or not, it's pretty funny seeing meltdowns from MSNBC like this, as described by the Daily Mail, showing how they're taking this issue to heart, as they might have to be reporting on Donald Trump for now a potential 8 years.
Quick reaction, guys, to that Trump comment entertaining a third term. You first, David.
Believe him. I think the biggest mistake of the last 8 years is we somehow fail to give credibility to Donald Trump's whims and his impulses, but we know it's true. And January 6th was a perfect example. If he says that he's not ruling it out, he's not ruling it out, and we should consider it a constitutional threat. Okay. Susan?
He's been pushing the envelope on testing the Constitution, so I expect, that he'll continue to do that, maybe by seeking out a third term. But more importantly, short term, we're not talking about signal, and that's...
Oh, yeah, we got to talk about signal, and like we haven't talked about that too much. And wow, MSNBC now cares about the Constitution, because they seem to be cheerleading for its destruction ever since 2001 here, as Donald Trump now also asked about this, told everyone that he would absolutely love to run against Barack Obama a third time around, as a lot of people are speculating that if the laws and rules are changed in this country, the Democrats would be putting forward another former president to go up against Donald Trump, and that would be pretty epic, even though I don't believe we should change the law. But that would be a pretty big, major election cycle that would be... very entertaining, to say the least, here as we go on here to talk about Donald Trump's now very, quote, splashy, as I try to make sense. There we go. As Donald Trump is planning allegedly a splashy Liberation Day announcement that's going to be happening on April 2nd that a lot of people believe will be around more protectionist policies for the United States, specifically when it comes to trade and tariffs. As now CNBC News is reporting, quote, the dirty 15%, as they are announcing that some countries will take a harder hit from Trump's tariff, as The Guardian is warning about uneven reciprocal tariffs as, quote, markets brace amongst a trade war fear, as the dirty 15 came from a phrase by the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bassett, who in a Fox Business interview talked about what he called 15% of nations that account for the bulk of U.S. trading volume while imposing heavy tariffs and other non-tariff barriers on U.S. goods. Now, when you look at the kind of data from the National Economic Council, you could see specifically 10 to 15 countries that account for America's entire trillion-dollar trade deficit, and those countries include China, the European Union, Mexico, Vietnam, Ireland, Germany, Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, Canada, India, Thailand, Italy, Switzerland, Malaysia, Indonesia, France, Austria, and Sweden. Now, will those countries end the tariffs against the United States? Will Donald Trump end the tariffs against them? Seems like a logical strategic move that would, of course, protect American businesses and enterprises at home. How will all of this play out on the markets? Well, there's probably going to be a lot more instability, a lot more fear, as Donald Trump also has the U.S. Federal Reserve banking system that is not playing along with him. This, as many judges have been challenging a lot of his bigger, more bold moves, with now Donald Trump deciding, you know what, we're just going to think of ways to go around these activist judges, as now he has sent more people to the jail in El Salvador. Now, before talking about this story, we want to tell you about wearechange.shop, one of the best shops out there, and we got some really great products available to you. One of the most important products I am proud of is, of course, creatine. Creatine is incredible. It is awesome. It is something that has been an absolute game changer for me. Now, before taking anything into your body, do your own due diligence, do your own homework, make sure you're taking the right things for yourself on an individual one-on-one basis. But after consuming a lot of content, doing my own research, talking to medical professionals, for me personally, creatine is one of the safest, most effective things that I have taken that has shown me the most increased gains, not just for my muscles, but also for my brain function. There's so many different experts in this particular field. Again, do your own research, but we specifically have individuals like Rhonda Patrick here talking about how creatine boosts memory, cognition, and it definitely helps a lot of people who deal with poor sleep. And it gives, quote, the brain the immediate edge it needs. And truly, it's been a major game changer for me. I absolutely love it. I think you would too. Check it out and do your own homework on wearechange.shop. This, as a lot of people's heads are on the swivel under this new Trump administration, as now the Trump administration decided to use Title VIII of the U.S. immigration law and not the Wartime Alien Enemies Act that an activist judge told the Trump administration that they could not use. And they used this act to send an additional number of gang members from MS-13 down to El Salvador once again, as we have more graphic footage of gang members from Tren de Agua and MS-13 being sent to one of the roughest jails on Earth. Now, there are reports specifically detailing how some people are being caught up here that allegedly are also innocent. And if they are, I hope they get freed immediately, as, of course, this is not the place that you want to be. I mean, this is the place with some of the most hardened criminal, sociopathic, insane minds on the face of this earth, as Joe Rogan has levied some criticism against Donald Trump for putting some people who are not gang members, allegedly, to a prison that is described as hell on earth.
Is like, you got to get scared that people who are not criminals are getting like lassoed up and deported and sent to like El Salvador prisons. I read some story. Was it Glenn Greenwald?
It was.
Yeah. The gay barber guy.
Yeah.
It's scary, man.
Is that true? Is that story accurate?
With a bunch of these Tren de Agua guys, allegedly they got at least one guy who wasn't a criminal, who was just a gay barber who I think, according to the story, came here legally. When you do things quickly and you do things aggressively, that's how you get done. But that's also when mistakes get made.
Right.
And
Absolutely. So far, I have been hearing about this one guy who has a tattoo. And because of that tattoo, the tattoo is allegedly of something related to soccer. Because of that one tattoo, he was classified as a gang member. If that's the classification, I think they need to up it a little bit more, okay? We have the NSA, we have the spying, we have a lot of different stuff that's already utilized unconstitutionally against the American public. Now, when it comes to illegals, there's different kind of languages, there's different laws implemented here, as we see specifically with these maneuvers being made here. But if someone isn't a criminal gang member, no, I don't think they should be sent to a place filled with criminal gang members. And they shouldn't be heavily punished unless they actually do something very egregious, very illegal, and very awful against the fellow men and women that we all coexist with the world in. And I hope this story of this one barber actually gets fixed and corrected here, because it should.
I think a human being being plucked out of nowhere and ending up in a country he's never been in a maximum security prison with gang members, seems like a bad thing to happen to me.
It's horrific. It's horrific.
I don't think that should be controversial.
No, that's not controversial at all. Again, that's bad for the cause. Like, the cause is, let's get the gang members out. Everybody agrees. But let's not innocent gay hairdressers get lumped up with the gangs, and then, like, how long before that guy can get out? Is there any plan in place to alert the authorities that they've made a horrible mistake and correct it?
Well, if you think about it from a government perspective, and this is where I think it gets quite sinister, is once you've done that, the incentive structure is never going to be to admit that and deal with it. The incentive structure is to say nothing, to cover it up, to pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah, that's how governments usually act. This Trump administration, I would say, is definitely different than anything that we ever dealt with before, as it definitely looks like a lot of their people are online. They do listen to criticism, and they do act on criticism when it does happen. Now, what will be the future of this barber? Well, I'm going to try to pay close attention to the story, because I think it's a story worth paying attention to. As other critics of Donald Trump recently was, of course, Texas Congressman Ron Paul, that took to social media and said, quote, "That didn't take long. A candidate elected to end current wars and avoid new ones. Donald Trump as president has significantly escalated the war on Yemen and is now threatening to attack Iran. He is also threatening Russia again with punitive tariffs. What is it about the White House that turns every resident into a warmonger?" Yep. As a lot of people are saying, didn't take long for Trump to lose Ron Paul. Now, I definitely do not agree with the Yemen bombings. I do not agree with the continuation of the proxy war that's happening right now against Russia. I definitely disagree with that. And, you know, a lot of Trump supporters would like to play it off as he's just kind of talking tough here. Well, he's also acting very tough here. And if we're going to be an interventionist country, there's a lot of other things we should be intervening on, especially when it comes to, you know, the Christian slaughter that's happening in Syria that our government backed and financed and essentially set up for no one's benefit in the United States at all. But geopolitically, things are very complex. I do understand Ron Paul's sentiments here, but I think the proof will be in the pudding to see what actually is being done here, as we are hoping that a peace deal is going to be made in Ukraine. And if that peace deal is made, if no more wars spark off in the Middle East, I would say Donald Trump will be a successful president. But if the war continues, and if new wars start in the Middle East, I would say that Donald Trump's presidency and his reputation would go down drastically with the ongoing sagas that a lot of the American people want ended. What will be the kind of defining moment here? Well, I think we're going to find out in the next few weeks and months under Trump's leadership how everything will unfold, how everything will move forward. And I think it's going to be up to a lot of the people who are on the sidelines to determine exactly how things unfold from here, as I think it's still very early. Although I am a huge fan of everything that Donald Trump and Doge and Elon Musk is doing, specifically when it comes to cutting so much government. I think it's beautiful. I think it's awesome. And I think it's one of the greatest changes. Sure, it's not perfect, but you know, domestically, when it comes to skinning the fat, my goodness, golly gracious, they're doing incredible work. As Elon Musk's Doge just uncovered more crazy truths about illegal immigration on Social Security that, of course, many people didn't believe before, but now we have the proof in the pudding here, as specifically shown in this video.
The system, mapping the whole system of Social Security to understand where all the fraud was. And there's a lot of great people there that showed us really a lot of waste. And so that came up with a big list of stuff they're working on. You've heard some of that already. But this is what jumped out at us. When we saw these numbers, we were like, what is this? In 21, you see 270,000 people goes all the way to 2.1 million in 24. These are non-citizens that are getting Social Security numbers.
Yeah, this is a mind-blowing chart.
Yeah, just this literally blew us away. Like, we went there to find fraud, and we found this by accident. And this isn't political, by the way. My parents are immigrants. Yeah, this country's been great to us. My brother and sister all born in Spain. I'm pro-legal immigration. This is not political. This is not political. This is about America and the future of America.
Yeah, millions of immigrants receiving added benefits and programs that we're paying for. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, the country's dealing with so many major economic pressures right now. It's so difficult to try to make ends meet. And now we're just spending money willy-nilly and incentivizing more people to come over, which of course increases the cost of housing, decreases the cost of labor, and is predominantly a major attack against blue-collar middle America that is trying its best to afford groceries every single day. As Donald Trump and his administration is also targeting billions of dollars in funding to Harvard, which is great. Harvard is one of those woke mind virus institutions that essentially is a factory of just some of the most insane, radicalized thinking in the United States that is normalized through their treachery and insanity. Trump going after all these institutions. And again, some of them, I'm like, okay, I understand the woke stuff. But because some people express other political ideas and then they get attacked and deported, that's also an issue that a lot of people have, that I have with Donald Trump as well. But regardless, seeing the cuts in a lot of the U.S. aid, in a lot of the gayification of the world, in a lot of the nonsense, in a lot of the wasteful spending, the corruption, the fraud, the waste and abuse, seeing that, I think that's so far has been one of the greatest achievements of Donald Trump's administration, as, of course, the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, also is someone that the media is going after Signalgate, as he just made a major move that, again, I think is the right move to make here, as he has reintroduced the same military standards for men and women. Yep, the same fitness standards for all combat jobs, regardless of their gender, now is being instituted throughout all of the brass of the U.S. military, which I think is absolutely important. And a lot of the work that's being done here, cutting and stopping a lot of the waste, a lot of the abuse, is through, of course, Elon Musk, who is dealing with a lot of baby mama drama. And that just seems like really personal stuff, as one of his baby mamas was seen selling her Tesla car in what looked like a deliberate kind of statement against Elon, as she had some choice words for him in this interaction and then on social media. And Elon Musk then described the kind of hefty amounts of money that he has given here to one of his baby mamas. Again, I don't like the baby mama drama, but it is happening. Lots of people are dominating and just obviously just expanding and going into all the different realms of possibilities. I like the foreign policy stuff. I like to talk about, the media reaction here. I like to talk about the real things that are in play here, which I think are absolutely fascinating. Now, Trump is getting criticisms. I agree with some of the criticisms, but I also agree that out of everyone, I think he has been the best president that we have had in our frickin' lifetimes. We had a lot of awful, horrible presidents. We had so many people that just go in there and they talk all tough. They have a big bark and they have no bite at all. And this guy's different. I hope the criticisms against him with foreign policy, I hope they're wrong. I agree with them in their current state. I agree with them against the maneuvers that Donald Trump has made specifically in those realms. Will he be able to turn it around? Will he be able to make moves that are more centered towards making America first? I hope so. And we will see how all of this plays out. But as it plays out, we are going to be calling it out as honestly and as transparently as we can. And if you appreciate that type of kind of broadcasting, subscribe, click the notification button. Check out wearechange.shop. We got a lot more coming here your way on youtube.com/wearechange.